Hi everyone. I hope all of you had a great networking session during the lunch break and were able to make some new connections to build your network. We are back to the hall and we have a last panel discussion on field survey innovations and best practices. I would request our esteemed panelists to please join me on the stage. The session chair, Lieutenant General Girish Kumar, retired land survey expert and former Surveyor General of India. Mr. Amit Saxena, Regional Manager, Trimble, India. Mr. Lauren from Syntegra, Geofit, France. Mr. Gangadhar Rao, Director, RSI Softech. Dr. Anirudh Roy, CTO, Genesis. Mr. Tanka Prasad Dahel, Director, Survey Department of Nepal. Over to you, sir.
Dr. Anirudh Roy. It's okay, come out. इशारों में बात कर लेंगे. He's got throat problems. So. Very good afternoon to all of you. Generally, after lunch sessions are very difficult because we already enjoyed a wonderful meal, and then talking and listening both are difficult. But we'll try our best to do justice to the topic given to us. First of all, again, I am thankful to Department of Land Resources, GWF, and Mr. Sanjay and his team for giving us this opportunity to moderate this session. I have an expert panel with me, and she has already introduced the panel, so I'll not go into that part. So today's theme of our session is field survey innovations and best practices. Now this is totally out of syllabus topic, which is not written anywhere. So, so it is up to the vision and imagination of my expert panel, and then the audience also. We'll see how best we can debate and deliver on this. Before we proceed further, Gangadhar, do you have a presentation to make? Yeah. So I will go through his presentation. You'd like us to start the presentation? I think we'll go through that. Then we can have the question answer session. Sure. No, it is a discussion only. No. It's okay. What you have been doing? Gangadhar, are you ready?
On the technology. I'm actually right now showing a little bit of PowerPoint presentation and then going into a particular tool to display some things. I think you can see the screens. Yeah. Next.
Gangadhar, you have to be very brief.
Very brief, yes.
And whatever time you take, I'll take out questions from you. Okay?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Next. Yeah, how is urban mapping done using the drones currently? Most of you are already aware of it. Maybe some of you are coming into this particular thing. Next. It's having a lot of animation, yeah. So there are 2 or 3 ways of doing this. Back. Yeah, there are 2 or 3 ways of doing this. At the moment, what I'm showing here is the drones. You also have an option to do aerial flying with the manned aircraft and then having the sensor there. But then aerial flying has its own pluses and minuses, wherein you have to fly higher, and then you have problems of. Sorry, yeah, you have problems of parking fees and then taking permissions and all those things. But then drone is quite easy. You can quickly pick it up and then go to the field and then capture it. There's another thing also which is very clear. If you are using aerial aircraft and then doing that, aircraft has to fly maybe minimum 3,000 meters. So the kind of sharpness and then quality which comes from the drone is much better than the aircraft. This is another thing. So we have options here wherein you can fly with a single camera or you can fly with a multiple camera there. Next. So with a single camera, you can actually capture a single nadir image. Next. And it will actually give us the imagery. We can create elevation model from there, point mesh, point cloud, and then create a mesh of that, and then create a 3D output of that. Next. And with the multi-angle camera, what it does is it have next. It has a multi-angle in that thing. The aircraft with or the drone with the multi-angle camera can actually capture in all 4 directions or 5 directions, and then it can capture the data and then give you the output there. Next. Next. The deliverables of the drone data, this is another very important thing which needs to be seen. Most of the places people ask for digital elevation model, DEM and DTM. But then digital elevation model and DEM, DTM are actually the same. The blue line is your DTM, the green line is your surface model. So both of them put together is an elevation model which is be generated, it will be output of the drone data. Next. So what you're seeing here is the ORI. Generally, OR is a word which is used in India, but then the actual word for that is true ortho imagery. So when you actually create that thing, the building actually gets into relief displacement clearance, and then you will see every building from the top. Next. So this is DTM overlaid with the true ortho image. And next, this is the surface model. Next. And this is the full textured model. So these are the outputs which are possible, and then from this you can actually come up with various things. You can stream this over the internet, use this as a planning tool, and various things can be done. Next. Okay, I'll stop my presentation here and go to the tool and then show you some data sets here. Go to the software. Sure. Yeah, here I have generated a 3D model here. What we can do here is, in previous photogrammetric technologies and photogrammetric processes, in fact, we have given 450 photogrammetric licenses to Survey of India when Sir was there in Survey of India, and we knew all that thing, we trained all the people, and now this is a new technology. This is not using the traditional stereometric measurements or feature creation. We can actually digitize right on top of this particular thing. Yeah, we can come to this particular data here, and we can create a surface here. This is a reference surface. What my operator is doing is he's actually clicking on the rooftop. It is creating a surface. It's a reference surface. So from this reference surface, we can clearly see he has actually clicked on the rooftop, so even the parapet wall is slightly above. I don't know how clear it is on this particular screen, but then you can practically see it on the screen very clearly. Now we can go and then digitize the rooftop here. Vijay, rooftop. So there we're able to create the rooftop, and then we got the topmost roof over there. Vijay, go to the snapshot options there. Right below, here. The 3 dots. Yeah, if you can see here, we have options here where node snapping can be done, and then the line segment snapping, and 3D snapping, directional snapping, where in directional snapping you can give the angle also to that. So if you have a rooftop with a proper 90 degree, you can give 90 degrees, 120 degrees, you can give 120 degrees and do the feature capture. Then after that, you have an option there where in the segments, if you have, let's say, a roof and then it is covered by some kind of trees and other things, you can put a point at one location and then give distance in another direction. It can pass through the obstruction also and then give you the feature.
Gangadhar, you can skip the procedures. Yeah. Just show the functionality.
Yeah, okay, sir. So now you can actually see there's a rooftop which has been digitized here. You can now go with this particular rooftop and then go with the different floors and then digitize in each and every floor. You can even simply copy that particular rooftop which has been created, and then take the ground, and you can multiply number of floors. It will automatically give you the classification or the building slices. So this is actually on top of the 3D model there. Directly we were able to digitize there. So I just quickly wanted to show you this one, sir. Yeah. And then thank you very much for allowing me to show this one.
Yeah, thank you, great. So everybody got a feel of how this project is going to be implemented and basic concepts, because hearing us is different and seeing actually one does make a difference. Thank you, Gangadhar. So we start with our panel discussion. Amit ji, the first question to you, since you are a technology provider and our topic is field survey innovation and best practices, what do you think the innovation in the field of positioning infrastructure, like in India we have CORS and rovers, what do you see that innovation and best practices in this field?
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. I think Gangadhar made my life easier to explain some part of it. In terms of the best practices, I think there are stages of every country to be successful, any project to be successful. I think the first stage was set by, sir, by implementing course network in the country. I think that was the first step to create a framework for everybody to work, in a common frame. The second part is that over the years, we have seen that innovations are happening in every field, and so is for our industry, wherein we started off from drones, with drones recently, with lidars, then GPS. How do we handle the data, and how do we ensure that there is a data integrity there? So, course solves the problem wherein the correction services that are coming through various forms goes to every rover, which means we are working in a common frame. To elaborate on that, if we are doing a project wherein if the correction services are not correct, you may find difficulty as we close the project, and different department uses different framework, also creates more error on the field. So best practice was establishment, of course. The next best practice that I think Trimble has in terms of bringing the technology together. So for example, we have drones, we have DGPS data, we have survey data, we have levels. Everything can converge into one single platform wherein the data is being processed and the person who is actually in the office can analyze it. So there are two parts of our collection process. One is that we go into the field, what tools a person should take while he is in the field. So when a person is in the field, the technology today provides, especially in this project, the ORI, which is the ortho-rectified image, which is collected through drones and processed. But for flying drone, again, you need a right ground control points, which are established from the benchmark points that are established by Survey of India. If those points are not done well, we have seen many places, thankfully not in all the projects in land record, but in roads, we have seen that those projects are not doing that great because of the first level mistake that they made by not establishing the right ground control points. So that is the first best practices that we have heard in India, which are not followed, and many other places it is being done. The second step is that when the person is in the field, he needs to be free. He just needs to do click and verify and capture the data very quickly. How it can be done? So we can work in layers. So first layer is the ortho-rectified image. In front of it, we can have, or in the background, we can have a live map of that place if it is required. Third level is already collected survey data, which is there. That could also be integrated. Fourth, as in this case, we may have features which are placed into different layers. Features means we can have poles, electricity, gutters, all those things can be placed in different layers, which is the expected output. When a person goes into the field with those ground truthing details, he just needs to click and verify if that thing exists or not. And they can use a uniform feature code across the project. So that is another best practices that we can do. Now the third one, which is already taken care of in the project, is that how do we transfer the data from field to office? Today, the technology that we provide enables you to send the data from field to office almost in a live, real-time environment. There are concerns about cloud platform, but yes, we do have technology that can enable it. So you don't need to wait for the data to be sent to the office, after 1 day of completion of data. So you can send the data quickly, and the person is processing the data in the office. Last but not the least, how do we ensure that this data is having the reliability? The person who is actually collecting in the field, as we have seen in the past, when they collect data using traditional forms, and thank you for sir for introducing GPS technology to almost all the projects, they used to change the data in the field and the impact will come later on. Today, when they make changes or some changes are required to be made, that log can be prepared while that is happening in the field. So that log can be seen in the office, which person has collected what data at what point of time, what changes were made, what was deleted. So some of these practices can be easily implemented and the data can be analyzed. So thank you, sir.
Thank you, Amitji, for bringing out how the technology should be used and what precautions can be taken to improve accuracy and timely delivery also. Mr. Laurent, you are from France, and I'll request you to tell us about your experience. Like our topic is field survey innovations and best practices for urban land record preparation. So what are the best practices and innovations you are following in France, and how these can be utilized in India?
The innovations I'm going to talk and our best practices have been implemented not only in France but internationally. We are working in a lot of countries in Europe but also in South America, and one of the case study I wanted to mention is in Lima. First of all, the field work is a very, very time-consuming and expensive step. So we are trying to minimize it without compromising the quality, of course. How do we do that? That is something that starts from the very beginning of the project by the quality of the input data which are used for the update of the land records. Because most of the time, and the examples I have in mind, we have existing land records, and then these land records are updated with the help of new aerial imagery, LiDAR data, eventually oblique imagery, and also mobile mapping imagery in some cases. Then, during the update of the existing land records, we are structuring them in accordance with the Land Administration Domain Model norm of ISO 19152. It's a relatively new norm, but that we have already implemented in several projects. This norm is organizing the relationship between the owners, the parcels, and the rights in a very, very detailed way, and it is also organizing the structuring of the data in the database. And this norm is defining steps, and like any ISO quality assurance norm, at each step you have quality assurance procedures. So already by implementing LADM norm, you are already guaranteeing a lot of quality in your data. The quality of the data is also coming from the quality of the input data that you have, so high resolution imagery, high density point cloud. Then coming to the phase of the quality assurance, we are minimizing the field work by having a quality assurance step in the office. All the tools that we are using for both quality assurance steps, the one in the office that comes first and the one in the field that comes later, everything is based on the use of open source tools that I'm going to mention. In the office, we are using QGIS and FME, and we are checking with QGIS the cartographic accuracy of the data and exhaustivity and so on. And with FME, we are checking all the structuring, the attributes, and so on. Then for the field work, we are applying another norm of ISO, ISO 2859. That's a group of sampling procedures to check the data by attributes, to make an inspection of the data by attributes. So the field work is concentrated on only a sample of the parcels, and this sample has been defined with the client in order to reach a quality confidence level of at least 96%. In the case of our Lima project, that was a project financed by the World Bank, and the client was the Ministry of Housing, we were checking approximately a sample of 5% of the buildings, of the parcels. It was an urban project, so it was buildings mainly. And then we had also, during the office work, we had also flagged parcels or buildings where things were not clear based on the aerial data we had available and the existing land records available. And so the field work on top of the sample was also checking these cases. In order to do the field work, we were using QField and Kobo Toolbox, which is also an open source tool developed by an American university. And then to make the synthesis of the outcome of the office research and the field work, we are using another open source software, Apache Superset, that is allowing us to visualize very quickly and in a very synthetical way all the controls that have been done and to issue performance indicators and a dashboard. And last, very briefly, another case study. We have been using mobile mapping in a very systematic way to cover 100% of the streets of an urban area. And then we have developed internally artificial intelligence-based tools to extract features. We are extracting the doors, we are segmenting the buildings, and this information is also used to enrich and to help the control in the office of the data of the land records. I would like to add that an investment in quality acquisition, either aerial or mobile mapping, is also costly. So you could say, okay, you are saving on the field work, but you are increasing the cost on the other side. But the European policy framework regarding the geoinformation is providing that all European countries, or is recommending that all European countries should develop a very high-scale database, a geodatabase, and that these data should be made available to all public sector organizations at every level of government, federal, state, local, and also to private companies and to the public. So when you make the investment, for example, in the mobile mapping survey of your city, you are not only benefiting the quality control of your land records, but you are also helping the collection of real estate tax, the town planning. You have a lot of applications with the data you have collected. And so I would say that the cadastre administration, in a way, should not have to bear the whole cost. And that's what's happening in many European countries. You have a national mapping agency. Sometimes it is the same organization, or under the same roof, you have the national mapping agency and the cadastre. Sometimes it is unrelated, but the national mapping agency is acquiring data and is defining specifications, and after that is distributing the data to all the stakeholders that need them. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for giving us insight and taking us through the entire process, best practices being followed not only in France but rest of the world also. And I was very happy to note that you're following ISO specifications. In India, we do have very stringent QA/QC parameters, but may not be following because Survey of India is one of the oldest organization in the world, and they have their own very stringent norms and procedures. But definitely we'll look at these ISO standards also, which you mentioned. And also very happy to note that open source softwares are being used to achieve the goal, and I'll suggest to various service providers here to explore the possibility of using open source software. Other code software, please don't feel bad because everybody has to survive. Okay. Even the users have to survive, and you have also to survive. So everybody has his own share of market. Thank you so much. We move to Gangadhar. Gangadhar, apart from what you have already shown us, and what do you think that innovations are there in the field of land survey, mapping, and management, apart from whatever you have already shown us?
Yeah. Sir, in terms of the field activities, I would like to touch upon few points which I feel maybe the previous presenters or panelists may have discussed or not. But then few things. It can start from the very first thing of drone flying in the field. So fundamentally, now that we have a proper car, the civil aviation has given proper rules and regulations. We are following all that thing. But going still to the field and getting the permissions are an issue which we are now trying to resolve and work on that. Apart from that, even like in the army and then defense also, we had done some flying over the cantonments. So those are all possible these days. It is good that the country has come up with these kind of rules, and we should appreciate that. Next is when we actually go into a particular area to do the flying, getting the information on where to fly and getting the actual boundaries. In Samitwa, we had issues with the getting the boundaries of the villages and all those things. Those are some of the issues. Then after that, the accuracies which are coming from the drone, they need to be specifically be seen. A fundamental thing is if you're flying with an aircraft, it has a $1 million IMU and then GPS and other things. But on a drone, you're having a few $100s of IMU and then other things which actually produce some result. But you need to use PPK systems or RTK systems and connect that to the core system what we have to be on the same framework and get the proper accuracy there. And another very important thing, most of the tenders, they come up with one control point per square kilometer. These things, one control point per square kilometer doesn't work. People are actually doing more, and then they may deliver only one control point when they're actually delivering. So these are some of the issues which are coming up in that, in actual data capture. Of course, the data is coming to the field and you are doing field to the lab, and then lab activities going on. And then after that, if you go to the field to do actual field data collection, let's say for as far as the topic of the day is concerned, if we are trying to get the information from the field to collect the ground truthing data, like what we have shown here, the building is
Gangadhar, we'll come to that point later.
Okay.
This point will come later.
Yeah, so now the innovations which are coming up in this particular thing, if I touch upon that particular point, we have actually shown we were able to digitize on top of the mesh model itself straight. That is one activity. And then right now to get into this, even to do the field activities, we can take the same model in the phone also, something like this. The entire data can be taken into the phone, and we can go to the field and click on the polygons, collect the information. In 3D mode, it is now possible. So in the field itself, as you have seen, we were actually seeing the outside of the building there. If you go to the floor, there could be 3 or 4 apartments in the same floor. So how do we actually do that thing? There's no way we can't have an X-ray sensor over there. So we have to go to the ground, do the field data collection. So if we can do that thing on the 3D itself, and then at the field itself, if you take the data into your mobiles and then correct that, then it will be the ideal thing. And maybe on the field data collection, we'll come to the other point next. Thank you.
Thank you, Gangadhar. See, when you in a panel, you have experts and those people who have worked for more than 20 years. So it's very difficult to stop them because they're so passionate and big professionals. So they continue. हमने तो 250 वर्ड में मांगा था. But thank you. You really brought out various practical challenges which you face on ground, and like this GCP per 1 square kilometer, you have to provide more in urban areas. Yeah. Then only you can achieve. In fact, we move to next our panelist, Dr. Anirudh Roy. Today he is an injured soldier, injured player, and
My throat is little bad.
he needs side runner, so we'll ask him question and then answer also. So Anirudh, my question to you was that what are the challenges you visualize in the field despite using all the modern technologies and innovations? So this was my question. So do you want me to answer or you will answer? Okay. So now he hit the ball and I'm running. Okay. So he because see, he was not willing to come here. I said, no, you have a vast experience and last 25 years you have been working in this field. So why should you be sitting that side? Why not this side? So we can always express your points to the audience. See, his one of the point was that they have the aerial platform aircraft for flying. The challenge what they face that they are told to fly below the cloud. That's fair because if above the cloud nothing will come. But even below the cloud also then shadow appears on the image. And when the client asks them to produce hard copy for QA QC, so you will always see the patch, that black patch, and the product is failed. But if you really go through that same thing in digital environment, so if you zoom it, then everything is very clearly visible. So his point was this, that we should be practical, that instead of in this age, rather than asking for hard copy printout, this should be examined. If it's a digital data, it should be examined in a digital way. I hope I explained properly, or okay. And then another point which he told me, that GCP marking. Like in the Naksha also there is a requirement of GCP marking on the ground. And generally what happens, the company will send the team to mark the points, and then maybe after 1 or 2 days there may be some rain and it gets washes away. So generally the service provider had to take precaution in ensuring that before the drone flying is done, these markers are there on the ground and the drone will be able to capture them. Because sometimes you fly and then the markers are missing on the ground. So again it will result to either reflying or maybe erroneous data. And one more point he highlighted was calibration. Like even Gangadhar also mentioned that most of the aircrafts, they have very expensive IMU system. But the drones, they are, because they are still not geared up for such a high caliber IMU system. So calibration is one of the important things which needs to be done before flying. If you own your own system, then definitely you have to take care that before you flying takes place, the calibration of the equipment should be done. Otherwise, with the highest technology, your data will fail. So that these are things which, because generally these things are not given in the project. The service provider or the technology provider has to take precaution on this. Is okay? So I move to the next question. We'll come back to you, or you want to add something? रन छोड़ तो नहीं दिया मैंने कोई? अच्छा ठीक है. Now we move to our next panelist, Shri Tanka Prasad Dahal. He is the Director, Ministry of Land Management, Nepal. Firstly, welcome to India and welcome to GWF.
Thank you, sir.
And simple question. You tell us what is your experience in the field of survey innovations and best practices being followed in Nepal, and what we can learn from you to implement in India.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the questions. Modern technology made us very easy for data capturing because we almost time are consumed during the data collection. We did a cadastral surveying from 1964 to 1998 around 35 years for complete the cadastral surveying of whole country. But during that period, we left the village blocks as well, because there is small parcels, and the purpose of cadastral surveying is as well physical cadastry. That's why boundary matter is not mentioned there, because cadastral coverage is only one target of the government. The public demand is increasing for the accuracy of the parcel boundaries. That's why we initiated resurvey 1996 of those areas which already has been surveyed, cadastral surveying. But we use the technology as same plain table surveying, but only scale is in large. But it cannot respond to the public demand. That's why we started again the technology new total station surveying. We started in 2006 and replacing the plain table surveying. But it's still it's time consuming. We are, if only we have 77 districts, but we never complete all districts again. Again, we mostly resurvey has completed in 1-2 districts only. It is struggling of collecting the data, but the data are accurate. Still, during this period, we digitize all cadastral maps, and it included in the GIS platform. That's based on the three GIS platform. And on the other hand, we scanned all land records, and that is in separate platform, LRIMS vehicle, that is separate. And dealing with the two organizations under the same ministry, I am representing from the survey department. That's why we are looking after the cadastral maps only, not on the land records. And that's an online system we developed in open source now. That's we have a total 135 offices. Among them, 58 offices are conducting the cadastral service online. That's open source, we called a Nelly system. And on the other hand, the land management and archive department, which is looking after the land registration, is developing another online platform, LRIM system. And we are now trying to integrate them, those. And in SHEM, we are, the technology has been changed. We want to reduce the data capturing time. That's why, as a previous presentation, we try to use piloting as done for the UAV surveying. In near about the Kathmandu capital city, we did the urban area, which has left during the first survey. That is done by the 2D UAV photographs we have used, not 3D, 2D. And digitized, and the project is going on, and in the final stage, hope that will work as a public demand. And on another side, we did the LiDAR survey of the Tarai region, of Western Tarai region of 20,000 square kilometer. That is also using for the cadastral boundary mapping of the we call the informal settlement that has been increased by the deforestation and like that process. And those areas are dealing by the land resolving commissions. They are doing mapping, they have a mandate of 3 years, and they have to complete large area mapping. That's why they are using those image captured during the LiDAR survey. They are going on. That's a status of power. And the village blocks, still we are surveying using total station, and almost village block has been completed. Maybe this year, by this year, we completed all remaining village blocks also. Thank you.
Thank you, Dal Sahab, for taking us through how innovation has been implemented in Nepal, from plain table to total station to GPS, and then drone and the LiDAR. I think it's a perfect case of collaboration between India and Nepal in future to expedite and address your challenges also, maybe at the government level or maybe at the industry level. I think it's worth considering when you go back and discuss on this. Thank you so much. My next question to all the panelists is, like one or two have mentioned also that when we capture data in the field and then bringing it back, processing it, and then again transmitting, it takes a lot of time and energy and delays also. So what do you think the state-of-art platform for real-time data capture processing and analysis we can think of for this Naksha project or maybe future projects.
Yeah, so thank you, sir. One of the things that we see
This question is for all panelists. So one by one.
One by one. So, yeah, thank you, sir.
2 minutes?
Yes, 2 minutes each. I think one of the critical part of doing a survey work is to ensuring that whatever data is being captured, one, it is collected with highest level of accuracy. Second, most importantly, is it goes back to the team quickly so that they can verify before the actual work starts all across the state or region or city. Because at the fundamental level, if we make the mistake, then there is a lot of data that will be captured. And we have seen that happening many a times. And this data will become the framework for not only land record department, but for other bodies which are engaged in servicing our city. So I think that is the most critical part of sending the data from field to office very quickly and verify it, and so that the team can continue to work and create the similar framework. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Sir.
thank you, thank you.
Thank you. I think I will diverge slightly from what Amit said. I believe that we don't need necessarily to strive for the highest accuracy or the highest precision or the highest quality. In French, we have an expression that I will try to translate in English by the best or the better is the enemy of the good. For me, what is very important is that we have, in terms of specifications and in terms of requirements and in terms of tolerance, very clearly defined values, and that also, and one of the gentlemen this morning mentioned it, that we have in the tender documents, we have in the contract, very clearly defined the quality control rules which are expected from the industrial provider and from the client. And after that, I think it's much better to have reasonable, feasible quality requirements which are in line with the needs of the client, which are in line with the applications which are considered, and make sure that these quality requirements are applied and are strictly controlled, rather than going very, very high in the specifications, because there is always the possibility to go higher, but it's going to cost more, it's going to take more time to deliver. What I'm proposing normally, I believe, is leading to faster delivery at a more acceptable cost.
Thank you, Mr. Ran.
Yeah, thank you. Sir, with respect to your question on coming up with the real-time processing, faster processing, and then for specifically for Naksha kind of thing, here, of course, for the data capture on the ground with the drones, you can quite easily capture these days. Drones have become very stronger. We have drones which can actually fly for almost 2 hours, 3 hours, and then capture almost 10 to 12 square kilometers in a day. So maybe a 300 square kilometers in a month and a half, you can capture that thing very easily. But then the actual crux comes up in the processing. Processing is the most difficult thing. So there is no real time that we can bring in and then create the outputs very quickly. So even in the processing also, if I take 1 square kilometer, generally it is not that one particular software. Most of the software packages which are there, commercial and then other sources, they are doing, or they are taking easily 15 to 20 days if I running on one machine. But there are ways and means that you can run the entire thing on the cloud. You can assign 100 machines, 200 machines, 1,000 machines also.
My question was that only.
Yeah, you can compute it within maybe 4 or 5 days and then come out with that.
Scalability.
Scalability. So you can get into a cloud and assign more processors to do the compute. But the cost is another factor. So if we are working on an open tender and then somebody comes up with the very lowest cost, and you have to live with it, and you will be putting money from your pocket, and these kind of issues are there. Real-time processing, yes, the fastest way is to get into these kind of things, for specifically for Naksha, what you have asked for, sir. Thank you.
I understand your pain and the concept also. Yeah. Anirudh. Anirudh had already mentioned to me. Shall I continue with you, Anirudh? His one of the challenge which they are facing in the field is the bandwidth. Because if you have to talk about the real-time data capturing, processing, and analyzing, then the sufficient bandwidth should be available. And this problem we had faced when we started Swamitwa in the country, and drones will fly and the data will be captured, but then daily transmission was not possible. So our people used to come after a week or maybe fortnight. So in any case, that kind of delay was there. So we did try to transmit the data from field directly to the headquarters. Sufficient bandwidth was not available. Throughout the night, they were awake. Then the cloud came, because that time even cloud was not existent in 2020. So even uploading on the cloud also was just next to impossible task. So we left everything and came back to the conventional. But if sufficient bandwidth is available, then this kind of projects can be really expedited and put on a very, very fast track. And one more point which Anirudh had made, not with related to this, like if the aerial aircraft has to fly, even Gangadhar mentioned regarding the drone also, that permissions on ground, though the policies are there in place, but still permissions on ground is a challenge. And somebody has to literally sit on in the ATC, because they have to also run their show, the aircrafts, and they keep flying. So they have to find a window to give you this slot so that you can either fly your aircraft or other drones. And this will continue, I think. There is no solution to this problem. And because commercial aircrafts, passenger aircrafts will keep flying, and its traffic is increasing every day. And so is the drone and aerial craft also. But noted your points, we'll try to address them. Yeah. Mr. Dayal.
Thank you.
Same question.
Okay. During my experience, we adopted the total station survey for the various area, but somewhere that is not necessary such type of precision. That's why we cannot say this one technology is okay for the coastal or boundary surveying, because in the mountainous area we do not need such type of accuracy. That's why that time first while we did the plain table surveying, that's okay for somewhere, but we replaced that one. And I found that another challenge is in our case, course station. We just initiated, and we have run 4 course stations and planning to increase course station in country cover. And that's another challenge. And another issue I faced during the LiDAR survey, the storage. We have raw data, and first stage process data, second stage process data, and where to store, and the central system and transfer of data. That's a huge task, and we are facing that. And data transfer to for the remote area, we do not have internet. Such type of constraint I have seen. That's why we have to look after these things also. Thank you.
I fully endorse your views that even in India also we have in some pockets connectivity is a challenge. Like
Yes.
in Jaisalmer border areas, we had some problem in because CRS needs connectivity to transmit the data. And even in Arunachal Pradesh, hilly terrain, hilly states, some of the states the connectivity was not there, even still not there. So, but then we need to back up with other alternatives.
Yeah,
Even the power connections were not there.
Yeah, that's also a challenging task.
And
for
even if you
us.
go for solar, then clouds are
Yeah.
there because. So
That's
there
not-
are challenges.
We use the central storage system in our
Yeah, and I'm coming
case.
to that. Even storage, mostly it is hard disk driven
Yeah,
storage.
yeah.
But we need to upgrade ourselves slowly and slowly, and I'm sure we'll find ways.
Sure.
Government is willing to support us, and driving in India, we have the dream of digital India. So slowly and slowly, I think situation will improve.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. One last question, which I'll ask to all my panelists, that we have been hearing about the blockchain, and in the morning session also there was a question. So that was regarding only aerial flying and other things, not relevant. But I thought I'll bring this question to this session because here we are talking about the innovations and best practices. So we have been hearing about the blockchain is one of the very uh, proven technology to this kind of land record, so that authenticity and privacy and secrecy both are maintained. The tampering is not possible. So please tell us your views on use of blockchain in land management.
In terms of, sir, the question that you asked regarding this security and secrecy and the data, being stored at a place which is very secured. I think most of us use our banking transactions, which has a cloud platform. I think storing a data which is of land, I don't think that the way the system has been built over the last many years has become very secured. We don't see any issues with the data being stored, and being taken away. I think if we can store all our financial data on cloud platform, which all these banks have, I think this is a much better frame of data that we can keep. Although there are things happening, but I think that's the way. I'll talk about only the security part, sir. I think other panelists can talk
Actually,
about
I agree with you, but the size of the data matters.
Yes.
In banking, you have few maybe petabytes or terabytes, but if you hear 1 square kilometer itself covers 200 GB data, which some of the even instruments or computers, they can't even open that. So
Yes.
keeping that in mind, my question was that.
Okay, on that side. I think that's a challenge will always be there, sir. I think what the data is being optimized, the algorithms are being written both at the collection side. For example, we have a receiver which collects data and keep the data. I mean, I am not talking about the pictures and images, but now it can be stored. There is a data of about 10 to 12 years that can be stored in a receiver. So the algorithms are being written. There are things that are being made which can reduce the data and produce the finest output. Thank you.
The size of the data is a real challenge and is becoming more and more of a problem. But I would say much more for end client, for the end users than for us, because as data providers, usually we are required to erase all the data 1 year or 2 years after producing. But
Pass on the problem to the users.
yeah, well, that's also their choice. Sometimes some clients are asking us, for example, with oblique imagery, to propose web viewer and to host the data. That's something that we do. And when we proposed a solution, a web viewer based solution for the client, and that is again very useful when we talk about oblique imagery, then we can have different levels of security, because it can be at the request of the client, open to everybody, to the public, or it is based on passwords, and it can be nominative, so member of the administration by member of the administration with different rights level. But coming back to the question of the size of the data, more and more the client are asking us to have imagery with very high resolution. We are doing the whole of France at 5 centimeters, including rural areas. And that's something that has been less discussed, I think. But there is also the overlap. For example, in our Lima case study, in order to minimize the lean of the building and to have a very good visibility around the building, to have the foot of all the facades, we were working with 80% overlap, so both forelap and side lap. So it has also an impact, of course, on the flying time. But in this case, the amount of imagery is tremendous. Thank you.
I agree with you. And in fact, in India also, we have gone generally, we say 80-60, 80-40 in aircraft. We used to follow 80-40, but in drone, 80-60, 80-70, and even 80-80 also is being followed to in urban areas especially to get the footprints of the building and to avoid the shimmering effect. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Gangadhar.
Yeah. Sir, with regard to the blockchain, yes, it's a good technology. People are actually using it. People are actually talking about it. I'm not against that, but then I would like to ask a question. When we have this nice system which Government of India has come up with, the Alpin number system, is blockchain still going to be useful there? Yeah, you can.
We are just debating. I'm not
Yeah,
implementing.
right, sir. I'm actually coming up with that particular thing only. So even with the Alpin also, the activity can be done in a similar way. Alpin, which has come up from the ECMA standards, very nice numbering technique in 2D and 3D also has come up with. Now, definitely in future, if the transactions are big, transactions are more, you need to get into that. Now, as of now, with Alpin, with the current IT systems and then the security systems, we still can manage with the land records over there. That's what is my impression on that. But in future, yes, when the transactions are going up in a large way, in a large number, getting into blockchain is also going to be important. But then there's a infrastructure issue also which is over there. So you need to have multiple systems, multiple servers at different locations and maintain those ledgers and all those things.
We are not debating any constraints.
Yeah.
Our aim is to give suggestions to the department that these are the possible innovations and best practices. Number one. Number two, Alpine is only a unique land parcel number.
Yep.
Not less than that, not more than that. So blockchain is a different concept in handling various number of transactions. So I think there is no harm in understanding both. And if we find it like in the morning I said in 2019 when we were debating about service Swamitwa and drone, many senior officers said drone is not a approved technology. Maybe for the repetition, some of you might have attended in the morning. And many people, they rejected it. They said, no, this is not approved technology. So there is no question of implementing it in India. In 19, sorry. And just we are 5 years now down the line. We are only talking drone. So there is no harm in understanding a concept. And if we find it suitable, and there is no harm in accepting it also. So we should be open, and our topic is about innovation and best practices. If we find that this particular one is a best practice, why not adopt it?
Yeah, that's true.
Our point is only this.
Yeah. But then there are IT techniques right now with this numbering also. It is.
No, I'm not challenging anyone.
Yeah.
I'm saying that we must understand concept of each and every process, and whichever suits us best, whether financially or procedurally.
Yeah.
There's no harm in accepting it.
That's true.
Okay? Yeah.
Yeah, my colleague has actually written the response to your question, sir. Blockchain is.
He didn't like my helping him, so he changed. He's an old man running very slow. Okay, I understand. Anirudh, it's okay.
Yeah. So blockchain is more during the operation stage at the client end. So during the service stage, it may not be as.
Anirudh, I was definitely better.
Yeah. So I'm facing problem with the writing here. So during the service stage and then use of the hybrid approval, this is our secured. It is our secured, yeah. So this would also need on-premises cluster network, which would be the infrastructure. Process in cloud and then store on the
process it in cloud. We process it in cloud and store in the on-premises. But when multiple stakeholders are there, blockchain is very important.
Yeah. You understood, sir?
Yeah. I hope you understood.
Sorry. Thank you.
We have to be taking everything lightly also. We have to live and long live, sorry. If we take everything so seriously, then nothing is going to work.
Yeah.
Dahelji.
Okay, I don't have such experience, but I feel that in long run future, we need a blockchain concept also. And nowadays we are using in the intranet basis. That's why secure system still. But in future, it should be blockchain concept should be introduced. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rahelji. We have long list of questions, but time is limited, and we need to close our session on time. I'll request for any. नहीं अभी मैंने बंद नहीं किया है, कर दूंगा, बुला दूंगा. ओके. मेरा टाइम 3:15 तक है, अभी 3 मिनट बाकी हैं अभी. Sorry, any questions from the audience? See, ये है इधर mic.
Yeah, hi.
We have a network of mics here, not yours.
That's okay. I think we need to go wireless now. So we have been doing quite a good amount of work on drone surveying, have been like quite a massive amount of work, upwards of like 70,000 square kilometers we have done for large scale mapping. Very happy to see that we are getting into Naksha. So there is one particular problem statement which we have been dealing with on field implementation. I think because we are going to cover 5 times more images or 5 times the images per square kilometer in Naksha, that is going to replicate the problem by 5 times. And we are also looking at half the timeline to do the same amount of work. So it is going to be like almost 10 times the problem which we are going to deal on only one aspect on both sides of the spectrum. It's the competency and capacity. So we have a very ambitious goal here. Now, our experience has been that the speed at which generally the service providers or technology providers are still able to deliver or catch up, the same speed of consumption of the data on the user side is not there. For example, if you generate so much of data, which is 3D, and you're submitting it, it's a very rollover basis project, very cash flow intensive, continuously it has to continue for few months to complete. So one challenge which we have been facing is that the delay between service providers submitting the data to the user and they being able to validate and clear it is huge. So how do we see the role of technology and also the appetite of the national mapping agencies to upgrade themselves parallelly at the same speed so that doesn't become the bottleneck for the implementation of the project? Because we have seen that chokes the service provider down to ventilation point where they have to be like put on a ventilator to survive for the project, right? So how do we solve that problem? Because I think we have been suffering from 5 years, all of us. And going forward, if we are looking at innovation, then we should solve the most deadly part of the problem statement before we really talk about innovation here. Because if this doesn't get solved, economically the whole project gets into a risk zone. So maybe the panelists can answer.
No, I think nobody has got answer to this. It's a very serious issue what you have brought out. In the morning we had a session and we did talk about the capacity building, and in that also experts, panelists, they clearly said the capacity is not available. So we need to build that. So either we delay the projects or when we start any new technology adoption, it will definitely take time, and the capacity building will continue. But your point of data acceptance, I think industry should bring out a white paper and give it to DLR. There is no harm in debating this, because ultimately you are here to earn and you need to pay to your staff also, and everyone needs to survive. So if the funding doesn't come on time, then definitely everybody will suffer. So there is no harm taking it up with the government at Serve of India or DLR, that this is we expect, and this is these are the suggestions also. Not only the challenge, but give the suggestions also to improve the workflow and work process. This was one of my question, but since time was less, so how to improve the process and workflow suggestions? I have written there, but time was less. But no harm. I think industry can. I'll request Sanjay and his team to come out with a white paper and give that.
So just to add on this reply, sir, since DOLR is implementing this project, and we have first time in India, Government of India, we have placed the incentive for completing the task ahead. If the timeline is achieved before the completion time, you are getting the incentive for vendors.
Yeah.
So,
first time, very good. I think I missed that point.
Yeah, and we are very much trying for this aspects also, that whatever the bottlenecks comes in the implementation of the Naksha program, we will definitely address it by the capacity building and whatever the measures would require to be taken.
Shyamji, thank you so much for bringing this point. Let me tell you this good news. You have been hearing about LDs, but never heard of incentive from government. So this is the first time that DOLR has come out with the incentives, and not only to the government departments, but also to the industry, that you are given 3 months time, and if you complete early, so you will be given some incentive. So I think requires a good round of applause. With this, any other question? I
Sir,
think
one just quick comment. Fundamentally, just to get around this client issues, client education is very much important.
Shyamlal is going to be here. Shyam Kumar ji, आप उनसे बात कीजिएगा.
Yeah, one important thing is, one just quick thing, we have actually submitted one nice ORI printed to one of the government officials. The chief saw that thing and, okay, which printer has been used? Okay, let's buy that printer.
No, thank you for your comment. I am really, once again, I am grateful to Department of Land Resources for giving me this opportunity to moderate and share dice with my esteemed experts. This has been a wonderful session. Thank you so much for all the panelists, and thank you so much, audience, for giving patiently hearing us. Thank you so much. I'll request Mr. Shyam Kumar, Director, Department of Land Resources, Ministry of Rural Development, to propose the vote of thanks.
I would request all the speakers to please be on the stage for a group photo. Thank you everyone.
The last ritual, our panelists, industry partners, and representatives from states, ladies and gentlemen. Today I, on behalf of Department of Land Resources, Government of India, would like to extend my hearty thanks to you all for coming and participating in this symposium. This is a privilege for Department of Land Resources for conducting this symposium in collaboration with the Geospatial World. Over the past 6 months, under the visionary leadership of our Secretary, Sri Manoj Joshi sir, and in the able guidance of Additional Secretary and Joint Secretary, the team has visited various states to analyze the current status of land administration and the various projects which are going on at the state level. The efforts has laid the foundation of understanding the key initiatives required to advance land administration for future-ready governance. The significant outcomes has been the inception of this Naksha program, National Geospatial Knowledge-Based and Survey of Urban Habitation project. This is the program which we are looking for the implementation at 28 states. As you all are aware, around 150 ULB we have selected for implementation. So this is the second workshop we have hosted in the past 2 months. Like you all are aware, first international workshop we conducted at the Delhi DAIC. And in continuation to that, we have conducted this symposium just to familiarize and sensitize all the states and stakeholders to participate and actively giving their full efforts in the implementation of Naksha program. We extend our heartfelt thanks to Geospatial World, particularly Sanjay Kumarji and his team for organizing this workshop on a very short notice and curating an agenda that address the requirement of our project. The discussion during this session highlighted how urban land governance can transform overall the administration. In the three sessions you have witnessed already, and we definitely got many insight from that, which will definitely help in ground implementation of our project. Particular emphasis was placed on the importance of increasing the adoption of coarse network, and it was encouraging to witness consensus among technocrats on the significance of integrating diverse data creation technologies to complement one another. We also acknowledge the valuable industry suggestions on QA/QC guidelines and appreciate the industry concern about the developing capacities to deliver the project efficiently. The insights shared to data integration and harmonization were particularly noteworthy. As suggested, aligning common standards and rules best suited to all states is critical, and DOLR has already taken steps in this direction under the Committee on Standards led by Sri S.K. Sudhanshu at YESDA. The importance of a common and robust schema for seamless data integration data set was also emphasized. And in the third session, we have discussed about the field survey, what are the major challenges which we would be witnessing and how we can come across that. So in this series, we just want to extend gratitude to our international panelists also, Mr. Jose and Ms. Krish, for sharing their valuable global experiences. Significant discussions also revolve around the crucial and challenging task of field surveys, exploring how technology can support the development of field-to-lab workflow for enhanced efficiency and a smoother process. We deeply appreciate the active participation of state representatives, panelists, and the geospatial industry, and lastly, the geospatial world for making this workshop a reality. As we move forward, DOLR looks forward to continued collaboration with both the states and the industry to make Naksha program a resounding success. And together, let us strive to position India as a global leader in geospatial innovation as envisioned in the Geospatial Policy 2020. Thank you all for your invaluable contributions and participations, and coming all the way from different parts of India to participate in this symposium. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Now, if any representative from the state government wants to see the system, how the ORI will work and the feature extraction in 3D mode, we have the system available at the end of this room, last. So you can see how 3D data works. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kumar, for the vote of thanks. Thank you, audience, for joining us today. With this, we come to an end of the symposium on survey resurvey for urban land records and its value impact for national economy and inclusive development. Please join us for the closing of GSI, Geosmart India in the Hall 6, and we'll see you next year. Thank you, everyone.